Mr. Gormas?
Aye.
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 Motion carries 7-0. New business number 2, Department of Aviation broadband.
Last month's meeting, we did submit an application, and we've been in communication with the guys at UAV Pro, and Mr. Allman was very helpful with this. Department of Aviation announced a broadband initiative where each airport in the state of Virginia that did not have current broadband service that was available to the public was eligible for up to $200,000 of grant money. And indeed, we applied, and we have made application. I'm asking for ratification of the application. We have been notified, and I think the Department of Aviation will discuss this matter at their 21st of November meeting. But I did include the recommendation from the Department of Aviation staff was an award of $69,825 and a local match of $3,675. There is broadband, but I think it's dedicated broadband that's being used by one of the customers out there.
You've heard the manager's request. Is there a motion to approve?
Any questions?
I just want to know where the match, was it going to come out of the airport
So,
budget?
yeah, anything at the airport is paid for with gas sales.
Mr. Gormas has moved. May I have a second?
Well, I was going to wait till after the
all right.
second.
Sorry.
To discuss.
So who,
Made a motion.
I'll make the motion.
Mr. Page moves, President Nash seconds. Discussion.
Fuel sales, that's where it comes from?
Yeah, everything at the airport comes out of
Okay.
sales.
Elementary question.
Oh,
Just for the public, just because it has the business that I work for's name in here, we have internet. The problem with the airport and growing the airport is it's a dedicated line, which means that no one else can come and hook onto that line. So what we want to do is provide internet for businesses to make the airport more marketable as an industrial park, so that more businesses can come and hook on the internet. Because right now, again, if a business were to move to the airport tomorrow, they would not have access to fiber at all.
it's going to greatly increase the speed too, right?
Yeah, right now, right now, again, if somebody else came out there, there's none. We paid for our line, and it was very, very, very expensive to put in. So to increase the speed, yes, it would. It would also, for us, if we decided that we wanted to hook onto that line, it would increase our speed. And I'm going to abstain for that reason, because I'm not sure if we hook onto it or not. I believe we would.
Thank you for that. Any other discussion? I ask for a voice vote. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Abstain.
That motion carries 6-0-1. Item number 3 is utility write-offs.
Actually, Brittany's office has submitted a list of people who owe us less than $5 in utility accounts or have recently deceased. And the list for 2024 you see before you, and it's a total of $397.43. Without counting, it's probably 50 different accounts. One individual deceased and the rest were, 2 deceased and the rest were under $5.
Are you seeking authorization to relieve the treasurer of responsibility of collecting
That
this?
is correct.
So moved.
Mr. Page moves. May I have a second? Gentlemen, may I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Page moves. Mr. Gormas second. Any discussion? All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Item number 4, Mr. Manager, is a MOU for Virginia Main Street.
I think it's very similar to the ones that have been approved in the past. It's basically the expectations of the town and the expectations of DBI and the relationship between the two. And Department of Housing and Community Development forwarded this to me late last week one day, and I didn't see anything where there was dramatic difference or a request for more monies or anything specific like that. And I certainly would recommend, and this would end December 31st, 2026, so it's actually 2 calendar years going to effect January 1st. I would recommend the council approve.
Authorize our town manager to sign this agreement.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Nash has moved. Mr. Allman is second to approve the signature on this memorandum of understanding for Virginia Main Street. Any discussion? All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? This motion carries 6-0. Item number 5, Virginia Main Street Services Board mini grant.
Well, another fire emergency service grant. We want to tell Lee Williams at the fire department thank you because he's really hustling and helping us out with these projects. But this was submitted after the last council meeting. It is a no local match, and if awarded, would be $34,263.98, and it's basically or primarily used to buy turnout gear. And I think there was a second line item: purchase 2 sets of rescue jacks, which I assume would prop up a vehicle if it were turned over or something.
You're asking for us to,
Ratification of the application.
so move.
Second.
With
Mr.
no,
Nash,
with no town local match.
No town local match?
Mr. Nash moves, Mr. Page second. This motion has no local match for the amount of $34,263.98. Is there any discussion? Since there's no match, I'll do a voice vote. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Is there any opposed? Motion carries 6-0.
New business number 6, we're not prepared. Carol is out for a few days with a family matter. We have not received the renewal for the airport. It is due to be renewed in the middle of December, so it may happen before, but we'll bring it back to you. I do not have the quotes. We were hoping we would have them by the time the council meeting came, but we have not received them. Carol's not here. So this matter's mute until either next council meeting, and,
Will it wait till then, Philip?
no, we got to renew it on, I believe it's the 12th of December.
So we're gonna have to get back together, or are you gonna authorize?
I don't think you have to get back together, because it's the same insurance you've had every year. I can come back to you and get it ratified if you like.
Very
Authorize
agreeable.
town manager to,
I beg your pardon?
make a motion to authorize town manager to sign.
I'm sorry, to what?
I guess sign this agreement wouldn't be right to proceed with this insurance.
And I'll bring it back to you next council meeting for
Second.
full ratification.
And it's the same thing.
Yeah, the only reason, on the next one that you see, we added a vehicle, that's why it went up. But it should be approximately the same.
All right, so you have a motion and a second. Mr. Almond moves, Ms. Williams second. I couldn't hear, we got too much going on in here. What was your motion?
To allow the town manager to proceed.
Is there any discussion? I ask for a voice vote. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Item number 8.
This is the renewal for fire department insurance.
Yes.
It's for their equipment and for their, I think it's a health and life and accident policy for the folks. The equipment and liability increased by $2,200 as a result of the ladder truck being added, and that's why it's more this particular year. But as you can see, the life and accident policy stayed the same, and we're asking authorization to go ahead and sign the documentation, execute the documents, and with the Chesterfield insurers again for the life and accident and for the equipment and liability.
So
Is that what we just voted?
Pardon?
This is for the fire
This is for the
This
fire department.
department. I'm gonna go back to the last one. What was that about?
Airport.
Airport.
And how much money was it?
We don't know.
We don't have the quote yet.
Okay, so this one, we do have the quote.
We did get the quote for
The
this.
reason I'm asking, I'll make sure, I think I'm gonna do a voice vote for this. I mean, a roll call. So, Mr. Armour, did you move to approve?
A-firm.
Is there a second? Mr. Page, second. Any discussion? I ask for roll call vote, beginning with Mr. Gormas.
Aye.
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 Item number 8 is our 2025 council meeting schedule. Any questions or concerns?
Does anybody have any conflict or anything that you know of?
Well,
I know in August I have a conflict, but I'm just one person, so.
I mean, you got a 25 calendar up there?
Not up there yet, no.
Well, I mean, we can certainly, this is a schedule. This is not, we can certainly look at this for you, Mr. Miller, certainly look at it in June or July, and if we need to make the change that's agreeable to council, we'll move forward. I will direct your attention to last year where I had a conflict, and council was so gracious to change for me. So I'll certainly do that for you. You said August?
Yeah, August 18th.
We'll look at
I know
August,
we'll
Mr.
get-
Miller.
Okay.
In the meantime, I ask council to approve the schedule as provided.
So move.
Mr. Holman
Second.
moves and Mr. Miller seconds. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries 7-0. Item number 9 is a very busy 2025 holiday schedule. You have that in front of you. Is there any comments or discussion?
Is this mirroring last year's?
Pardon?
Is this mirroring last year's?
No,
schedule?
I think this current year, we were not off on Election Day. We were open. I think council
Yeah,
may have
we
made a
were.
decision. But we were open on Election Day. County was closed because the schools are being used for voting precincts, but the landfill was closed. We did open the landfill and let the guys carry the vote.
Election day was taken so they could get an extra day off for Christmas.
Yes.
After
That
Christmas.
was the deal with
Which is
the-
also on
The
here?
deal was.
Yeah.
Is that also on here?
Yeah, Christmas falls on a different date next
Yeah,
year.
Wednesday and Thursday.
And just like last year, I'm gonna ask council to consider just leaving this the way it is, allowing our employees to have election day off. Now, I know last year the mayor said employees have 45 days to vote, but election day,
Well,
is not just about
Mr.
voting.
Page, please make a motion and we'll discuss it. You make a motion to approve this instead of,
I'll make a motion to approve it the way it is.
thank you, sir. Is there a second?
Second, because the only reason we changed it is because last year, this year that hasn't happened yet, they didn't get the day after Christmas. Well, they get it in this one.
Yeah, and
So
last
add
year,
an additional day?
No, it's
Okay.
what's proposed.
last year I had asked to
But
have
we
election
took
day
Tuesday,
and that.
November the 4th
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, because they didn't have the day after Christmas.
Right,
Well,
right.
it's in there now.
Right.
But how
Because
many
of the way
days
the
did we-
calendar falls.
How many days did we have last year?
How does it?
This is 16, right?
No, hang on, last
15 and a
year,
half.
15 and a half?
last year y'all took out election
Half
day and
day.
added the day after Christmas. I had made the motion to have them both and y'all, it didn't pass. But I'm asking for it because election day isn't just about 45 days of vote. A lot of people like to work the polls. A lot of people like to campaign for their candidate. And just because a majority of folks doesn't mean that there's not 10 employees or 5 employees that want to be out the polls with a sign for who the favorite candidate is on election day. That's why the state's made it a holiday, and I ask that we keep it in this year.
Any other discussion? All right, Mr. Page has moved, Mr. Nash is second to approve the slate presented in your council package. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries 7-0.
Thank you.
Item
Wait,
number,
hold up.
See, Chris,
No.
you argued for nothing.
Are we putting the
Exactly.
election,
Y'all gonna be a whole
day back
time.
in
That's
there?
what
What you
Yes.
saying?
Everything
vote?
that's in front of you is approved.
Okay,
The state of Virginia governor's calendar is approved as a
y'all gonna be fussing at me about the hour now. Let's move forward. Item number 10, new business ordinance for the Christmas bonus.
I think you have in front of you an ordinance for approval authorizing Christmas bonuses for town employees in the fire department. Breakdown is attached. Also attached the annual fire call and reimbursements.
Mr. Hoff, have we met all our requirements to approve an ordinance for this?
If you
Mr.
recall,
Mayor, could you say that one more time? I had trouble hearing.
Have we, Mr. Manager or the town attorney, as the council, done everything we need to be able to vote on the ordinance?
if you remember, we did not advertise this because Tessie had ruled some years ago that we did not have to advertise it, just had to adopt it by ordinance, that it did not have to be advertised as we would for a public hearing. And so this has not been advertised, but that was a ruling that Tessie had provided us 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, years ago.
Okay, I'm fine with it. Julian, are you okay with it?
This is the progressive engineering.
No, we're on the ordinance authorizing Christmas bonuses for town employees. The previous, you're fine, I'm whipped too. The previous attorney ruled that we didn't need a public hearing for this ordinance.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Members of council, what's your pleasure on this ordinance? Are we gonna have Christmas bonuses for town employees in the fire department? I need a motion.
Yes.
Yes.
Motion
Yes.
carried.
All right, so Ms. Williams moves.
Charlotte's part of it.
I think
It's
I've got a
already in the
second,
budget, right?
a second from everybody. Ms. Williams moves, Mr. Miller seconds. It is an ordinance. I ask for a roll call vote, beginning with Mr. Gormas.
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
Right.
abstain.
Aye.
Is that a big fat eye? Mr. Page?
That's a
Big fat
one.
eye?
Yes, yes. I'm glad we got it up to those rates, thank you.
All right, what's next?
Big fat eye.
I'm running on fumes here. Item number 11, Progressive Engineering Agreement, Mr. Manager.
You know, the town, Blackstone has been working with Progressive Engineering for many, many years, and they provide us with an annual hourly rate schedule and a contract for execution. And it's time to do that for this particular year, and I'm recommending that we continue that relationship. As you know, we've got some electric improvement projects that we're contemplating, and we definitely need to continue having Robert come help us, including, as you know, that BEST project and how that will affect the town.
Typically, what is this contract worth, dollar-wise?
It doesn't have a figure.
But I mean, is it over $10,000 usually?
I'm sure it's going to be over $10,000.
Okay, that's what.
When we have these, is there a way that we can look at the previous year's rates so we can tell the
provide this to
difference?
you. Absolutely.
Just in the future.
All right.
Do
In
we
the mean-
know how much it went up?
I don't know how much it went up.
In the meantime, I'd like a motion to approve. Any other discussion? Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Mr. Nash moves. May I have a second, Mr. Page?
Second.
Mr. Almond, second. Any discussion, Mr. Page?
Yeah, so when does this need to be renewed by? Can it wait till
I
next?
think it will apply for January 1,
So-
2025.
So it could wait till next month when we have the full information?
So we wait till next month?
All right, I'll make a secondary motion that we postpone this to next month so I could have numbers to compare it to from last year.
Mr. Page's secondary motion is to postpone this until the December meeting. Is there a second? Hearing none, that motion fails. I'll go back to the original motion is to approve, and that is from Mr. Nash and seconded by Mr. Almond. Ask for a roll.
I'll amend mine, just because let's look at the numbers.
That's all I want.
Okay, well, I would ask you, Paul, to second his motion. Second his motion.
Can I second even though I had the first motion?
You may.
Second your motion.
And the secondary motion has precedence. I'll take a roll call vote on that, and that is to postpone the approval of this contract with Progressive Engineering until December. Mr. Nash has moved, Mr. Page has moved, and Mr. Nash has second.
And-
Roll call vote.
I appreciate that. Like I said, we spend a considerable amount of money with our engineers, and we should definitely have.
I've called for the question. You
Proper
made a great point. Mr.
Aye.
Gormas,
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
Aye.
motion carries 7-0. We're at committee referrals, is that correct, Mr. Manager?
Yeah.
Number one I have tonight is for general engineering services, an RFP. And that is for,
General Engineering Services, right now, B&B Consultants has that contract. It's for civil, parking lots, it's for water lines, sewer lines, all those kinds of things. Design work where we need it, and it is not a specific project, but that's why we bring you task orders under that general services agreement. The state code does have a limit on the value of that contract, and the raw water project is certainly going to take us over that limitation. So in doing so, I conferred with USDA Rural Utilities, and they did recommend that we advertise for engineering services. We have done so. I think Julian took a look at the RFP as well, and the one-page RFP wasn't terribly detailed. We received 4 back. In order to follow the process, I do think a series of interviews, even if they're Zoom interviews, because some of the applicants were from out of state, so I don't know if you want to bring them down here. But I would ask that maybe to Fire and Water.
at this time, I'll refer this to the Fire and Water Committee. Number two, we have on here a memorial for Mr. Bobby Daniels. There's been talk about that in the community, and you've had some input.
Really, Jennifer has been speaking with a private individual who'd like to plant a tree for Mr. Daniels. And I think Jennifer and I talked a time or two, and Jennifer's come up with an idea that it would be appropriate maybe to have a bench as well. But we'd like to put this together. Jennifer has spoken with her family, or Mr. Daniels' wife, and she had not indicated they have any specific plans or any kind of specific type of thing. But I do think appropriate if maybe this could get referred to committee and maybe take a look at, as we do with Mr. Neal's bench. And I think there's also a bench for Debbie Yancey in the town square.
I'm going to refer this to Building and Grounds.
Thank you.
On the mayor's minute, I just have a couple of items. I'll be making the standing committee assignments for year 2025 and hopefully for 2026 calendar years at next month's meeting. I've heard from a few members about I have a member that wants to leave and wants to go. I'm hearing some things about changes. I ask you to email me if you have any preferences or you want things to stay the way they are, you like your assignments or whatever. Could you please do so within the next couple of weeks? So around the first of the month, the middle of the month, I can prepare these committee assignments. Any questions? So just let me know what's on your mind, and I will do my very best to make these assignments equitable. The other thing I want to talk to you about, Council, and I do this in the spirit of goodwill, and I do this because I respect and admire all of you. But we need to understand. Well, first of all, let me say I've never been a ward councilman. I served 2 terms proudly as an at-large member of council. I do understand that your neighborhood votes for you, and I understand you represent that neighborhood. But I do want to challenge you to consider that also taking on your neighborhood, there are 4 other neighborhoods, and we are members of council for the town of Blackstone. So I'm asking that we do more to have our interest throughout the town of Blackstone, because even though you're all ward whatever, the other members of the community also appreciate the hard work you're doing, and they would also like your consideration. Just a friendly suggestion, that's all. We have the police report here in your package. Lieutenant Mayton, do you have anything, or do you have any members of council, do you have any questions? All right. Now is the second opportunity for citizens to address the council. Would anyone like to come to the podium? Members of council, you have in your package, informational package. We also have 3 closed sessions scheduled for this evening. I'm not certain at all if there'll be any actions taken afterwards, but at this time, this concludes our regularly scheduled meeting, and we'll be entering into closed session in a few minutes. Thank you.
We need a motion.
No, we're not. We'll come back and make a motion.
So we're in
Make a
recess?
motion now, to go into closed session?
Yeah, we'll do that. I'll entertain a motion to go into closed session. You can, I was going to have a recess and then do it, but that's fine. That way you can turn the tape off. So
So we
if
have-
you would provide,
So we have personnel, the acquisition and disposition, and legal matters, is that right?
if you will, let me have about a minute to confer.
You mean it?
Yes, let me have a minute to confer, and I'll be back to you.
So Philip, it's personnel, acquisition and disposition, and legal matters.
I think those are 3 days.
Jennifer?
You're still recording?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, I'm sorry.
For legal matters, there's a couple that touch on legal matters. I think what we're talking about would probably be, I'm assuming we're talking about the Crawford eminent domain case.
Correct.
I have number 7 and number 8. Do either one of those apply to that?
Yeah, I would put it under A7, because it's
Okay.
double covered.
Okay.
And I can, you want me to do that, or I don't have it.
I was gonna read all 3 of them at one time, if that's okay.
Yeah, no, that's fine, I just don't know if you have it ready, since I
Okay.
don't have it.
All right, we're ready to go.
I can email you, but
Gotta use the restroom.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and begin reading.
Well, we're
Let's hope
getting
that
ready
you
to, I
like
don't
it.
need you vote, I mean, if you don't want to vote.
Okay,
yes. I gotta use the
No, that's not gonna work. Go ahead, I got you.
We'll wait.
okay. So we need a motion to go into closed session for
Go
under
ahead.
Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711A for personnel, for discussion, personnel sanitation, for discussion, consideration, or interviews of prospective candidates for employment, assignment, appointment, promotion, performance, demotion, salaries, disciplining, or resignation of specific public officers, appointees, or employees of any public body. Also, Section 3, acquisition or disposition of real property, for the discussion or consideration of the acquisition of real property for a public purpose, or of the disposition of publicly held real property where discussion in an open meeting would adversely affect the bargaining position or negotiating strategy of the public body. And also under legal matters, number 8, consultation with legal counsel employed or retained by a public body regarding specific legal matters requiring the provision of legal advice by such counsel.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Nash moves, may I have a second?
Hold
All
on.
I need to add a couple of things.
Okay.
right,
For the real property, we're talking about disposition of real property located at 406 South Harris Street. For the legal advice, we're talking about current litigation with respect to eminent domain matter on 114 South Main Street.
114 South Main, correct.
Okay.
okay, all right. Is that agreeable with
Maybe
you?
saying that's, we've got to be a little more specific.
Agreed, that's
Okay.
fine, yeah.
Mr. Nash moves to this, okay, is there a second?
I made your motion with that, I'll second
Yeah.
that.
Mr. Page, second. As for roll call vote, to go into closed session. Mr. Gomez?
Aye.
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 This motion carries 7-0. We now stand, we in closed session.